So why I'm here, what's going on here? I really think this is, it sounds melodramatic, but this is the last great faint hope for life as we know it. What we have is converging crises, economic, social and ecological, and so many attempts to improve things, you know, to do with climate, for instance, that I've been involved with a lot, inevitably come up against global capital in one way or another. And this movement in 1,500 cities across the world, we're told, started in New York, which is the sort of the most central beating heart of the economic system, mirrored here in London, which is sort of number two, if not number one, is really, really important. You know, at every turn, democracy is hollowed out and co-opted. Democracy is hollowed out and co-opted by the economic system. You know, the question for anyone seeing this is, you know, why are you not inspired to be here? And if the answer is just because, you know, you don't see it as the kind of thing that, you know, is relevant for you, then, you know, why not? This is democracy. This is true democracy, and, you know, and it's messy, and who knows what's going to happen exactly. But, you know, unless we reoccupy the streets and actually fight for the obvious, sane, rational things. You know, even 3 years ago, you know, to a lot of people it was very clear that what was being done in response to the crisis was, you know, was crazy. It wasn't dealing with the issues. You know, the derivatives are still not being regulated, etc. But 3 years later, you know, we have the evidence. The only sector of society that has done better is the few at the top. We're being told that there's no money when there are between 20 and 40 trillion dollars in offshore accounts. You know, trillions goes through London, which effectively erodes the tax base across the world. And, you know, only a global democracy movement has any chance of tackling what is a global problem. And it's the global problem of democracy being transferred to very powerful, totally untransparent, totally undemocratic economic sectors. And, you know, it's really about, do we believe in a better world than this? You know, can we imagine another world that is possible? And that one phrase, un altro mundo es posible, another world is possible, that and un pueblo unido más será vencido, which is, you know, people united will never be divided, or will never be defeated, sorry. Those two simple lines have transformed to a significant extent 12 countries in South America. It's the belief that we can change things that's lacking most of all. Most of us, if you look at the polls, all the attempts to gauge public opinion, the vast majority agree that, of course, we shouldn't be prioritising bankers' bonuses over doctors, over nurses, over schools, the things we need for a decent society, you know, and a decent economy and a functioning world, you know. But the question is, are we prepared to stand up for what we believe in, you know? Are we prepared to take democracy back? Or are we going to be the good people, proverbially, who stand around and do nothing, which allows evil to flourish? You know, and one thing it's really important to realise is that this movement is not about anger. It's not about destruction. It's about love and compassion. It's about thousands of people here and in 1,500 other cities across the world that, you know, have had enough of seeing politicians say the kind of thing that we want them to say and doing another, because powerful economic interests are pushing them into doing it, you know. And when Roosevelt sat down with union leaders in the 1930s and said, you know, he said to them, what do you want to happen now? And they told him what needed to happen. And this was, by the way, at the beginning of a 40-year period of global growth, the only one that capitalism has ever seen, pretty much without major crises. We've had 100 crises since 1980. What he said to those people is, go out and make it happen. You know, unless we, the people, push hard enough against the powerful economic interests, there's no way we're going to see the change that we need to see. And the crazy thing about our situation is that it's institutions that are the problem. You know, I have a friend who's an analyst for a hedge fund. You know, he's like right at the heart of kind of creaming off the system, you know. But he and many others in those positions want things to change. They don't feel empowered to have things change either. You know, it's recognising this is not about demonising a certain group of people. It's about recognising that we've allowed all sorts of institutions, you know, the so-called free market, which is not remotely free. It's not a free-floating thing. It's the result of powerful lobbying. We've allowed that to take over crucial democratic needs that we all have across the world. And bear in mind, you know, we may have had a bit of a recession in this country, and it's tough for some people, but people on the other side of the world are seeing it so much worse. And, you know, in terms of anyone watching this and thinking, oh well, you know, I don't want to get involved, you know, the police. You know, most people throughout most of history have faced far more in terms of the threat to them by standing up for what they believe in. You know, we, because of generations in the past that have fought for our rights, can come out here and, you know, be relatively fearless. You know, yes, the police might sometimes be inappropriate, but, you know, they're not going to drag us off in a van and we disappear. You know, that happens across the world and people still fight for their rights. So, you know, let's do this. Let's believe. You know.